Hi everyone, welcome back. Today's video is going to be my monthly haul, which is everything that I've either purchased or been gifted by friends throughout the month. Now, I've moved to the other side of the sofa for today's video because I wanted to showcase my Pride balloons. I'm actually filming this on Pride Sunday, which is when the parade is. It's unfortunately been a really rainy weekend in Toronto, but I had a Pride party last night, bought the balloons from like Labello or something, and they're so pretty and they're still alive, so I thought I'd put them in the background for some interest in this video. And fun note about the Pride party, I invited a whole bunch of friends, as I started to do more so now that I have even more space in this condo. But I invited Haley, whom I had never met. Some people may know of her as Haley Wright on YouTube. She's a beauty blogger, and I always say blogger, but I know her as a YouTuber. Haley Wright was originally, that's her maiden name, and she's recently changed it to Haley Evans, which is her married name. Anyway, I invited her. She lives like an hour outside of Toronto. We've never met before, and I was so excited to finally meet her because she came. And I was like, one of those things where I just ran at her and gave her a huge hug, and I was like, you're so pretty in person. It was great to meet her. So I'm gonna link her down below because I think you should go check her out. She's fantastic. So let's talk about makeup. I've got a glass of wine and there's a lot to talk about in this video, so maybe grab a glass of your own. Now, the first item I got this month was something that actually showed up in my mailbox from somebody in Switzerland. Her name is Andrea, and she was visiting Germany, I think it was, and she had remembered that I had used up some, either it was Nivea or Labello lip butters, and that I was lamenting the fact that I couldn't get my hands on it anymore because they seemed to be discontinued in North America. Well, she went to a Nivea store and she bought me some, and this showed up in my mailbox. I had no idea it was coming. She never let me know, and I was just flabbergasted. She wrote me this really sweet note, and I just thought it was so freaking thoughtful. So she got me the Nivea lip butter in the coconut one, and I've finished up a whole one of these before, and the Labello lip butter in caramel cream, which I think is the same as the Nivea caramel cream kiss, which I've also finished up before. I love these dearly, and I was so touched that she was on vacation and just picked this up for me and mailed it to me. I've written her a letter. I don't know if she's gotten it yet, but I was so touched by it. So Andrea, thank you so much for picking this up for me. I thought it was so freaking sweet, and I was just like shocked when I opened my mailbox and this was there. It's so lovely of you to have gotten this for me. So earlier this month, I actually placed an order at Sephora for an item that I've already since returned. So I can't really show you what I bought because I've taken it back, but I did do a blog review and I just did not think that this item was worth it. It was the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dream Highlighting Palette. It has 6 pans of different colored highlighters, and I thought it looked really gorgeous. But when I tried it out on my skin, it didn't matter what color the pan was, every single shade came out pink. It was like the weirdest thing I've ever seen in a palette. So every time I put a different color on my face, I was like, why do you just look like a different shade of pink? It was ridiculous because some of the colors in there were like gold or like a red, and everything came out pink. So I reviewed it on my blog. I will link that down below, and you can see the photos of every color on my face, and I was just so unimpressed with that palette that I took it back. So I don't have that anymore, but I did purchase it throughout the month. However, I did also pick up a few point perks at Sephora with that order, so I don't actually have what I paid for during that order because it's gone back, but I did get some point perks that I want to mention. I do really like Boscia skincare, but I have never actually paid for it. I always get it when it's a point perk, and it's kind of expensive, so I'm okay only spending my points on Boscia. I don't know if I'm at the point where I would go spend my money on it. I really just don't like spending money on skincare in general, so although Boscia makes great skincare products, I would just almost like always cheap out and go to the drugstore to get something. It's not always true, but generally is. So the one item that I got is the Boscia Cactus Water Hydrating Cream. And I think this was just put in like a coupon code and you could get this mini size. And this is one of Boscia's latest products. And I was super interested in this because of the imagery that they were using to promote it. It just looked so luscious that I wanted to try it out. It's mostly, honestly, it looks kind of like an aloe gel. Not much of a scent really, but I was so enticed by the pictures that they were using that I was intrigued by it. I haven't used it yet, but I'm curious to see how this is gonna work out on my skin. And the next item I got is a Point Perk by Boscia. And this is probably, judging by the size, I think I spent like 500 points on this guy. I've been saving my points for years because they never have anything good, I feel like. Generally, Sephora is either sold out of their Point Perks, or it's always stuff that I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to like even bother to pick that up, even if it's free. So the Boscia Point Perk, it's called the Skincare for Your Selfie, and it comes with a luminizing black mask, which I already know I love because I've got another sample of it and I've used like 4 samples of it before. The Porefecting White Charcoal Mattifying Treatment Primer. I don't love primers. I find honestly they usually just cause my makeup to ball up, but it's in the set. It's got the Thermal Black Cleanser, which I love. That stuff is fantastic. Another charcoal pore pudding, which I actually got one last month in another order with a Point Perk. And then the Revitalizing Black Hydration Gel is the last thing in here. I think this is a great set. Boscia can be very expensive at times, and I like getting it when I can get my points worth. The next item I got is an eyeshadow palette that, I mean, from the outside packaging, you would never expect that this was remotely interesting on the inside. So this is by Tease Cosmetics, which is not a brand that I know very much about. You can find almost no information about them online. But this is the Tease Cosmetics Riot Extreme Eyeshadow Palette. It's got kind of like this old painting on the front of the package, which is the same as what's on the palette. And I mean, it's so like, is there anything interesting on the inside of this thing? Well, as it turns out, it's a rainbow palette, but I mean, you'd never know it looking at that. I really don't understand their choice of packaging, but anyway. So I love rainbow palettes. They're one of my favorite things in makeup, and I'm always so excited when I find a new one. So this one has 2 columns of matte shades, which are the whole rainbow spectrum. And these 2 shades over here are shimmers. I've mostly only used the matte shades so far, but I really, really like them. The pigmentation is gorgeous. These are as strongly pigmented as the Visart Editorial Brights palette, which kind of blew me away. Now, I will say that I don't find the blending is as easy with this, but the color pigmentation is so beautiful that I'm willing to overlook that I have to spend a little bit more time blending or packing. This palette was $58, which kind of surprised me. I was not expecting to have to pay that much, but I mean, I was so in love with the colors that I was just like, I really don't care. I'm gonna spend that money regardless. So I did use this in my Pride tutorial from 3 weeks ago. I really liked how that came out. I actually wore it again for Pride last night. And maybe that sounds a little bit funny, but usually when I do a Pride tutorial, I don't necessarily wear the same thing out for Pride, but I was so impressed with how good this looked that I was like, yep, I'm gonna replicate my own tutorial and wear that out. So I do really like this palette, but I wish that I could find more information on the brand. I think well, this says made in Italy, but I think the brand is like from the Netherlands or something like that. They don't seem to do a whole lot of work with bloggers or influencers or anything like that, but I really like this palette, so I might look into more of their products. And on the note of rainbow palettes, Covergirl actually came out with one, which surprised me. Drugstore colorful eyeshadow palettes basically don't exist. You almost never get them. So when I saw Samantha talking about this palette in her recent video where she tried on a whole bunch of Covergirl products, I was like, I need to go get this immediately. And I was so happy that it was already launched so I could just run out to the drugstore and get it. So this is the Covergirl Trunaked Dazed eyeshadow palette, and sadly it's got one of these sponge applicators in there. Never gonna use that. This has almost the full rainbow spectrum, but they've kind of doubled up on purple, which is, as Sam said in her video, kind of annoying. Like, they should have just gone full rainbow and done a red here. This is a little bit more of a red tone purple, but it's still not red. So there's 2 purples here, which is slightly unfortunate. But I'm really excited by this. For the most part, I do think the colors are all shimmery in here. This one looks to be a little bit more matte satin than the rest of them. But I am so happy to see this palette. I'm just so tired of the drugstore putting out more and more neutrals. It's like, can you please just do something different? Not everybody is looking for something that's an everyday eyeshadow look for most people. Now, this wasn't that expensive, which made me really happy. I think it was retailing for $15.99 at Shoppers Drug Mart, which does tend to be the higher price point for drugstores in Canada. Rexall usually sells things cheaper, but I found this at Shoppers Drug Mart. I think it was $15.99, and I think it was also on sale at the time, like $4 off. So I got this for something like $12, which I think is excellent. So I'm really excited to try this out. I'm really happy to be excited about a drugstore eyeshadow palette, and I'm really happy that this is not expensive, because there's some palettes at the drugstore that are just high-end prices basically, and I'm not having it. So super interested and excited to try this one. While I was picking up that CoverGirl palette, I also saw that the Maybelline Lash Sensational Luscious Full Fan Effect Mascara was on sale. And I already am using a tube of this that I really just opened, but last time I made the mistake of getting the waterproof formula. And while it's good, I just don't like the hassle involved with removing waterproof makeup all the time. It's not a problem necessarily when I'm just coming home from work. It's more of an issue when I'm going from work to the gym. My makeup wipes, the Neutrogena hydrating ones, are fantastic. They will remove waterproof mascara, but it just takes so much more effort that I'm like, ugh, I can't be bothered with this. So I made sure to pick up the non-waterproof formula this time. I love this mascara. I've gone through probably 4 tubes at this point. It's pretty much neck and neck with the Essence mascara that I also love, but this one just happened to be on sale, so I snagged this one. I also picked up a huge bottle of the Johnson's baby shampoo. I pick this up whenever it's on sale, super cheap. Like, I don't want to be spending more than $2 to $3 on this, because this is what I use to clean my makeup brushes. So whenever it's on sale in the large format, I always snag it. And I also picked up an Aveeno Positively Radiant Toner. Now, I've shit-talked toners before. I'm never quite convinced that they're doing a whole lot on my skin, but I've become very accustomed to them, and I really like applying toner to my face, which sounds really weird and doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I really like the Aveeno one. And it's not super expensive. I mean, it's not the cheapest on the market either, but it's a brand that I have enjoyed for so many years that I feel really good about using their products. And the thing that I like about this the most is that several years ago, and I don't know why this sticks out in my mind so much, but I started to get like a really itchy forehead, and I couldn't really figure out what was causing it or why that was happening. But I remember thinking, well, I don't know how to fix this, but let me try using an Aveeno toner, because I know Aveeno tends to calm my skin down. And I think it said, oh yeah, it says gently refreshes skin without causing tightness. Okay, maybe that doesn't explain anything. I feel like a bottle back in the day said something about relieving skin. And I was like, well, if it says that, maybe it'll do it. And I shit you not, but that toner removed that itchy patch on my skin. And I was just like, well, this is miraculous. So whenever I run out of toners from brands that have been sent to me, because I get a lot of skincare sent to me, I always go back and I purchase the Aveeno one, because it's the one that I know really actually did something, and I really like it. I like the smell, I like the brand, so I'm always happy to go back to this one. So the rest of the products are all stuff that's been given to me by other bloggers, and this first one is so freaking exciting. So I don't even know why she thought of me about this palette other than the fact that it's colorful, but last night when Samantha came over for my pride party, she brought the Atlantis palette by Face Candy, and I was like, how did you know that I wanted this thing? So for those who are unaware, this is pretty much a knockoff for the fake palette that Tarte released as an April Fool's Day joke. Now, to explain the joke a little bit, I'll put a picture here, but the palette was basically this gorgeous blue-centric palette with a bunch of green eyeshadows in it. It was called the Icy Betch palette, which, I mean, I guess they were trying to play on the word bitch, but I've never heard the term betch before. It was bizarre. Now, I don't know why they thought that a blue-green palette was going to be like a funny joke to people, because I was so pissed off. I was like, yes, Tarte, please release this palette. And no, to them it was a joke. Look, I love Tarte. I love Tarte's products, but like, that's not a funny joke. I actually wanted that thing. So indie brands started putting out basically that palette because they knew that people were interested in it. And this Face Candy palette is pretty much exactly that Tarte palette. And you know what? I am so into these shades that I cannot wait to use this palette. And I don't think I'd ever talked to Sam about this palette before. She just knew that I was gonna be interested in the colors, so she brought it over last night. She's like, I think you're really gonna enjoy this. And I was like, oh, how did you know? So it's funny, she had never opened the palette. She just gave it to me, and a few of the eyeshadows were broken, but honestly, it really doesn't matter. But like, how beautiful is this? I cannot wait to use this. I think this palette is sold through Shop Hush or something like that. I've seen a few people reviewing it on YouTube, like Shop Hush in general. They tend to do knockoff palettes. I don't really know anything about them other than they do knockoff palettes, but man, I cannot wait to try this, and thank you so much, Sam. You have no idea how excited I am to get this. I was so close to ordering it, but I've kind of like put off spending some money on makeup right now, that when she handed this to me, I was so excited. I can't even put it into words. I was ecstatic. Sam also brought over a whole bunch of the new CoverGirl foundations, and she was just like, here, if these shades match you guys, take them, because she got sent the entire range of colors, and obviously she's not gonna wear all of them. So I had originally said no to them because I was like, I don't need more foundation in my life, but people had picked through what colors they wanted, and then there was like a few left over that might match me, so I was like, I'll take it. I mean, I'd had a few drinks, and she's like, but you said you didn't want it last time. And I was like, yeah, but it's sitting in front of me. I'll just take it now. So this is the CoverGirl True Blend Matte Made Foundation, which is a comfort matte, transfer resistant. Oh, that's good to see. I hope it dries down. So I've got 3 shades here. I've got L60, which is light nude. I've got L50, which is fair beige. And then I've got this one, which actually might be a little bit too pink. L70 Natural Ivory. I don't need more foundation, but I've got this, and I haven't tried a CoverGirl foundation, I think, ever, and everyone raves about them, so can't wait to try this one out. Man, I just realized how great it was inviting a whole bunch of bloggers over last night, because they basically just handed me product after product. It wasn't intentional. This is kind of how bloggers work, or at least in Toronto do. If somebody has a product they know that somebody else wants, they'll usually just bring it to them the next time they see the person, which is great because I've traded off all kinds of stuff that I don't necessarily need, but I know somebody else wants, and I've received stuff in kind, so it's great that way. So now I've got 2 more of the Mary Kay New Blue nail polishes, because I'd put out a call to bloggers and said, does anybody have this polish? Please give it to me. And people raided their stashes and found that they had the polish that they were not going to use. So one of these came to me from Miranda. She has the blog Miranda Loves. I will link her down below. And Shauna brought this over for her because she'd seen Miranda recently. You see, it's like a chain. It just makes it wait to me eventually. And then the other one was from Steph, who has the blog. I don't know if you're under Steph Lau or Stephanie Lau, but I'll link her down below as well. So I've added these to my collection now. I have so many bottles of Mary Kay's New Blue, and I am so happy about this. I never want to run out of this nail polish, and at this rate, I never will. And the last item I have to talk about is a face cleanser that just got left on my coffee table from last night. I have no idea if any of my blogger friends had meant to grab this and then just left it behind, but it's mine now. So this is the Neutrogena Deep Clean Purifying Cooling Gel Scrub. I tend to love almost anything that Neutrogena puts out, so I'm sure I will like this. But by the way, if this was somebody's particular product from last night and you're seeing my video going, hey, that's mine, just let me know. Okay, that's it. That's everything that I've got throughout the month. I got so many products in here, and I love when I film these videos that I now get the luxury of going to put them away, because I like just putting them in their place in my makeup collection. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know if you've picked up anything exciting throughout the month, and I will see you next time. Bye!